So yesterday I did a poll. I knew I was going to watch Lords, but I didn't know if I was going to watch Titanic or the amazing Maurice. And the poll decided it was the amazing Maurice. Chase Lehocky here with the Blue Futon reviewing the amazing Maurice. So what's this about? This is a British cartoon movie about talking mice and a talking cat, and they have a scheme together with this human, Keith, which is very weird. The Keith just feels like an awkward name, and it doesn't belong in this movie. Anyway, they go to town, and these mice fake like they are stealing food, and the cat and the human comes in and basically say, "Hey, mice, leave," and ta-da! But they go to this one town. We're like, where is all the food? And is there a rat king? What is a rat king? Then we have a little girl who's like narrating the story in a weird, different way. Then we have a Pied Piper. Then we have an hour and 30-minute just silliness on screen for kids to completely enjoy. So I could have watched this movie during Sundance, but then I looked when it was a release date. It's like it already had a release date of like, very first week of February. So I'm like, why spend the $22 on Sundance when I could spend $11 in movie theater? And instead of watching it on my TV, I could watch it on the big screen. So I like this film. This is a very cute film for kids to completely enjoy. It's an hour and a half. It has some adult humor, has kids humor. The animation's cute. It's not Pixar or DreamWorks level whatsoever, like Puss in Boots or, Moana. I don't know why I said Moana. I just saw it right there. It's calling out my name for some reason. But it's fun. The voice acting is really good. There's a good story to it about acceptance, getting to know each other, trying to coexist as a human and rat race, which I think I had a mouse once. I think I had a hamster once, yeah. And to keep a hamster alive, have it doing something. And what I mean by that, when you're done with your toilet paper rolls, throw it in there. The mice have something to do. They like chewing on it. And I think with mice and hamsters like that, if they have like just nonstop stuff doing in their mind and in the cage, they will actually live a lot longer. But I'm talking about the movie, not about my real life experience of having a hamster. But then there are some negatives of the story, just like sometimes the animation doesn't hold up to other parts of the story, especially at the very end, where there's like a huge like rat tail shish kebab kind of thing to make it a rat king, which is kind of gross. But then other stuff in the story, especially with the girl that's voiced by Emilia Clarke. But let's talk about the positives. Hugh Laurie does a fantastic job as Maurice. We have a bunch of the rats, which have good personalities to them that are very different, so you actually get to know each and every one of them. And I think it's really good in an hour and a half movie where you can be like, okay, that rat has that personality, that personality. So having them have each different, unique funness to them is really positive. Maurice is a good cat. You kind of like the story it goes off of how the mice in Maurice got to being smart and being able to talk, which that could also lead to the negative about how they were able to talk, because there's a lot of stuff glossed over because this is based off a kid's book. And of course, they can't put everything in a kid's book in this hour and a half movie, but it feels like they did rush on a couple of things which could be considered a negative. So let's talk about the negatives later. Now, one of the animation does look good. It really does look good, like I said, especially at the very end, where there's like a kind of what we call a Matrix, if you want to put it that way, even though it's not Matrix. It's kind of like a frozen in time scene, which really looks really cool, as well as, putting the death in there, which reminds you of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So every time there's a cat in the movie, you're going to have Puss in Boots style of 9 lives, 9 lives, 9 lives, cat. How many do you have left? And finally, the pacing and runtime. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Kids will not be bored. And this is completely made for kids and the adults to sit in this theater, sit at the TV at home for an hour and a half and just watch the screen, because it zooms by quick, and I don't see kids being bored whatsoever. So when we talk about the negatives of the story, I do think how the story is told can be a little bit better. For example, they kind of do a breaking the fourth wall of like, this is what framing is. This is what foreshadowing is. This is what this is. And then it kind of stops. Then it comes back again with Maurice telling the story until the girl is telling the story. And at the very end, it kind of just dissipates. So you're just like, what was the point of having this girl narrating the story and saying that, doing that style? because I understand what they're trying to do with like being a book within a book, because these rats think there is a paradise where humans and all animals talk together and they can live happily ever after. And I understand like Mr. Bigsby or Bugsby, whatever, like Bugs Bunny, but the UK version. So, or Peter Rabbit, which that reminded me of Peter Rabbit because Peter Rabbit is from UK as well. But that story element just didn't work for me of how they wanted to, just say it in general. And also at the very end, how I was talking about the animation, like the animation there looked really good. But when you're in like a Pied Piper scene in the forest, it kind of felt a little bit, they had less of a budget. So, there were some inconsistencies when you talk about that. Then also, like I said, the rushing of how the rats became, smart, and how Maurice came smart, which how Maurice came smart makes complete sense when you actually get to know his storyline. But they're just randomly in this person that does like Harry Potter magic, and that never like gets talked about again. Like if they would have talked about that magic, making the mice smart, and then somehow linking it to something else throughout the story, I think that would make more sense, as well as like knowing how the Rat King can actually happen. It's like, are there more Rat Kings out there? Like, how does Maurice know about these multiple Rat Kings? How long has Maurice actually been alive? So, like I said, as an adult, you think of like, oh, that's a little plot point. That's a plot point. That's a little bit of a hole. That's a little bit of a hole. That's a little bit of a hole. But I think overall, The Amazing Maurice does its job. It's for kids. Kids will enjoy it. And I think adults will enjoy it as well with some of the humor that's on screen. However, as an adult, you're going to be like, yeah, that's short-sighted. That's short-sighted. And you'll be like, that's not Puss in Boots level animation. And neither is that. But it's nothing like, oh, God, that Pinocchio movie with Pauly Shore. Nothing on that level. So The Amazing Maurice will receive a 3.5 out of 5 Futons. It goes at 70%. Let's see what the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have critics a 78%, audience score 72%, 45 critics, over 50 audience. Critic consensus. You may not necessarily need to rush out and see it, right? Meow. Ha, Super Troopers. But Amazing Maurice is a solid book adaptation that makes for fun family viewing. Absolutely agree. 72, 78, 70. Chase out with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh, no, thanks, Futon. Topi, Blue Futon. Thank you much. Have a great day. And it makes me wonder on this one, because it's a UK production, how much did it make in the UK versus in the United States? Like, is it doing good in the box office? We're about to find out in 3. Oh, okay, there's Ward's re-release. It didn't do that good in theaters, but $101,000 for one night. That's not bad. Okay, Amazing Maurice. Domestically, 1.6 million. Internationally, 9.2. And I'm going to guess the international market is 90% UK. Actually, 2.4 million in Russia. Well, not bad, Russia. Not bad.